Good morning, my fellow yogic travelers. I'm mighty glad to be alive today. I hope that you are too as we continue to live, laugh, love, learn, linger, and live the life we love. It's Friday, so it's my PowerPoint presentation today. This is called Yogis Hate to Have Their Peace Disturbed. You know, Black Elk has this statement, and while I stood there, I saw more than I can tell, and I understood more than I saw. For I was seeing in a sacred manner the shapes of things in the spirit, in the shape of all shapes, as they must live together like one being. It's all about oneness, harmony, union. Rumi's poem says, let the beauty we love be what we do. Today, like every other day, we wake up empty and frightened. Don't open the door to the study and begin reading. Take down a musical instrument. Let the beauty we love be what we do. Yeah, your whole life gets a chance for you to embody Homo aestheticus, human the beautifier, not the ugly maker. All right, so you got to develop the witness. We're all in the same semi-sleep state, mindless, most of us, not mindful. But if you spot it, you got it. That's why you get Smokey the Bear on the witness stand. Absolutely, where there's smoke, there's fire. Very common sense, right? As the elephant wakes up upon seeing the tiger in the dream, so the disciple wakes up from his or her sleep upon seeing the guru. This is Sri Yukteswar and Yogananda. If you know that story, if you've never read Autobiography of a Yogi, I certainly highly recommend it. Now, meditation is like looking through the camera. You let go of the grip of holding on to everything that reduces the tension, and you just see through clearly to the other side. It doesn't hold on to anything, it doesn't push anything away, it doesn't identify with what it sees. Einstein said, the intuitive mind is the source of the rational mind and is a faithful servant. The intuitive mind is the sacred gift, and the rational mind is the faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. Yeah, I love his one-liner, matter is spirit reduced to the point of visibility. Get it? We're all here to take the hero journey. I've explained this in so many different times, but for the benefit of the younger people who are not familiar with my teaching or just tuning in, everyone gets a chance to refuse the call instead of to take the call. You can't run away from your fate, you'll run into it. So you got to separate yourself from what you know. You'll get into what we call the zone of magnified power, and you'll have some kind of test and trial to see whether or not you're up to the task. And then reincorporation, you bring back the gift, the boon, whatever you wrested from the gods, and you share it with your community. Just like in a yoga class. You separate yourself from the outside world when you take your shoes off. You pass through into the portal in the sacred dojo or yoga shala, and the class itself is your test and trial. And then when the class is over, if you make it through, usually do, you bring back whatever you got into your daily life. Your patience, your humor, your strength, your stick-to-itiveness, whatever. Now, Jack Black, School of Rock, one of my favorite movies of all time. Nothing appeases the innermost hunger as much as putting out the one with all the juice behind it. It's an old hippie dictum, and only you know what that is. Anything less than that won't be satisfying. You don't do it to collect money, you don't do it to get noticed, you do it because that's the way you feel you're living to the best of your ability, the highest level you're capable of, and really breaking down the fear to show yourself. A spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down, it says. Yeah, well, we all have these samskaras, these deep impressions, and a lot of them are traumatic. So we need a teaching that, in a certain way, doesn't coddle us, but creates room for sweetness, depth to come out. So a false sense of security is the only kind there is, says Michael Meade. That's an old Irish statement. And instead of running away from the things that frighten us, we turn full frontal, face it completely. Each chakra, if you want to use this information, is like a Me Too voice, right? So whether it's your rectum, your genitals, your belly button, your heart, your throat, your cerebral cortex, or the energy field around you, each one is like a colonizer. It wants to take you over and have you see everything in life through its perspective. And fluidity on the continuum is the key, isn't it? So as the Buddha says, a well-thatched roof, no rain gets in. Yogis hate to have their peace disturbed. But if you have a poorly thatched roof in a monsoon season, it's going to rain in on it, it's going to be unhealthy, uncomfortable. So what's thatching your roof? Ethics. how you treat other people. Bring out the virtuous part of yourself. Now, I've always tried to teach my college students what's the difference between getting high and being high. And in a simple explanation, every time you get high, you come down. It doesn't matter what you take, it's not going to last. So why do you do that? Inherent in getting high is coming down. That's such a buzzkill. Well, the answer is simple, because being high is great. But if the only way you know how to be high is to get high, you're always going to come down. So at some point, you change the question, which is what prevents me from being high. Now you're on the path. If you don't know how to humble yourself before anything, you haven't found the formless in the form. So stop being so narrow-minded, thinking that your path is the only one. Humble yourself and learn about everybody else. All right, the 4 aims of life are artha, accumulation of what you need, kama, enjoy yourself as much as possible. Within the dharma, understand the overarching harmony, and then use all of that to moksha, to find liberation from the misunderstandings of yourself in connection to life. The 4 portals, the self in totality of potentials, what I call the king and queen, male and female warrior, the male and female lover, and then the wise man and the wise woman. But in the negative sense, the king and queen can be bossy. They command, right? They don't command, they demand. Oh, that's not. They're supposed to liberate, bless, create just order, rule, and decide, instead of abdicating, giving up the throne, or using the power to intimidate, which is what the warrior would do, because they could be mean, okay? But they're supposed to draw boundaries, serve a transpersonal end, have a mission or a purpose. But they know how to discipline themselves, they know how to strategize, reconnoiter the area, and learn what they need to. But then there's the magician, or the crone energy. In this negative form, it's detached, it uses knowledge to manipulate other people. But in its good form, it suffers no fools, it's a healer. It helps to guide younger neophytes into and out of sacred space. It's also connected to the trickster. A lot of teaching is almost set up in order to fool the person, in order to get them to understand. And then, of course, there's always the lover. And the worst part of the lover is when it addicts itself in order to be numb, not to feel. But the positive part of the lover is opening up to beauty, eros, aesthetics, sensuality in its most positive form. We love the sensate world and the spirit that's created it. So, a universe that arises from nothing, phew, what a paradox that is. Where does that come from? Nobody knows. But when it comes to the archetypes, if you have no power, your king or your queen is not functioning. If you don't act, your warrior is not functioning. If you don't know, your inner magician, your wise person is not functioning. And if you don't feel anything, your lover is not functioning. So remember that the unconscious mind speaks to the conscious mind in symbolic analogy, like the dream where the telephone cables are washed up on shore. And you see what it is, a representation of connecting your island of isolated consciousness to the mainland, to the bigger picture. You know what it is, but your neighbors don't like it. They think it's ugly and they want it thrown back into the sea. But you're able to convince them of the practical and functional effectiveness, and they accept it. Get it? That's what we're trying to do. Open up the communication channels between what's below and within to the surface and what's beyond. And that's what we call the alchemical crucible, where you take the primal material or the gunk of your life and you turn it into something that's worthy of consciousness. Thanks everybody for listening. Have a great day. Hope I see you next week.